Counterpressing is a popular tactical buzzword that has graduated from the depths of obscure tactical blogs to mainstream shows like Monday Night Football. Nowadays, it's extremely common to see or hear the term referenced regularly on our very own Managing Madrid, not to mention everyone's Twitter feed. But the term is rarely accompanied with an explanation, which may leave many fans wondering, what on earth does it mean? Counterpressing, also known in Germany as Gegenpressing, is a tactic that has risen in popularity ever since the late 2000s. Pep Guardiola brought the idea into the mainstream with his famous Barcelona side, but it was Jurgen Klopp's Borussia Dortmund that truly made the concept famous. Though the two coaches differed in the way they applied their counterpressing schemes, their main goal remained the same. Both Guardiola and Klopp wanted their teams to apply immediate pressure after losing the ball, because they wished to stop opposition counterattacks before they even began. The idea behind the approach is to avoid facing situations where your team is exposed in transition, which is considered to be the most dangerous phase of the game for a defensive team. It is also a way to make defensive work fun and engaging, especially for teams filled with technical superstars who don't like tracking back. However, creating a good counterpressing strategy is much easier said than done. Firstly, coaches must ensure that their players absorb a mindset that sees them react immediately and aggressively after losing possession. Though difficult, well-designed drills and skilled man managers are able to accomplish this successfully. The harder part comes when managers must create what is called the preparation for the counterpress. Logically, if a manager wants their team to counterpress effectively, they must ensure that their players are well set up to apply pressure in a fashion that denies ball progression. In a regular press, players have the time to position themselves and mark key individuals. But in a counterpress, there isn't the luxury of deliberation, since players must react instantly after the ball is lost. This is why teams have to prepare themselves positionally while they still have the ball. Coaches must design a structured approach in possession that sees players space themselves carefully and occupy all the relevant zones of the pitch. Once the ball is lost, individuals should already be in positions that allow them to quickly close down the ball carrier and their passing options. Former Bayern Munich defensive midfielder Bastian Schweinsteiger describes this concept very well. Schweinsteiger says, "If you look at the ideal example, Barcelona or Spain, you can see how good their defenders are at setting up, even while they still have possession. In many situations when you're attacking, you already have to start thinking about what happens once the ball is lost. As a defensive player, you already have to watch the opposing attackers and ask yourself what could happen when the ball is lost." As one would expect, there are certain variations to counterpressing. The original kind, which was seen with the 1970s Dutch national team, was very ball-oriented. This meant that everyone immediately pressured the player in possession without much regard for the spaces they left behind them. This rarely exists in organized counterpressing systems of today, for obvious reasons. Instead, the ball-oriented system has transitioned to space-oriented counterpressing, something that Klopp did with his Dortmund side. Instead of everyone crashing in on the ball carrier, players compress the space around the ball to put the person in possession under immense pressure. This version is best if you seek to create lots of counterattacks through counterpressing. Pep Guardiola's Barcelona engaged in a different style that protected the passing lanes. One or two players would pressure the ball while the rest of the team positioned themselves to intercept passes or force long balls. This style is better if you seek to retain possession. The final version of counterpressing is man-to-man, which is self-explanatory and perhaps easier to organize from a coaching perspective. This concept has become especially relevant of late for Real Madrid, as it is a tool that has powered them to recent victories over Sevilla and Girona. Unlike Guardiola or Klopp, however, Solari's counterpressing was a little less organized and more dependent on the mental and physical side of the game. This is because Solari does not prepare Madrid for the counterpress, as Madrid's offensive resurgence has depended on unstructured, hyperfluid attacks. As a result, Madrid's counterpressing has shifted in-game between a blend of ball and space orientations over the last two matches. Cracks appeared towards the end of the Copa del Rey tie versus Girona, but at the moment, Madrid's players seem to have the focus and energy to cover most structural deficiencies. Whether Solari's approach is sustainable or not, it's important to recognize how critical the counterpress has been in allowing Madrid to sustain their offensive pressure and prevent opponent counterattacks. Considering the latter issue has been a big problem for Real Madrid in the past, as you can see in our "Why do Real Madrid seem to be allergic to good defense" video, counterpressing seems to be a tool that will be worth constantly revisiting for Solari and future coaches. Thanks for watching this week's School of Real Madrid video. If you like our work, please consider supporting us through our Patreon and be sure to follow us on all our social media channels.